Hey everyone, thanks for checking out this retrospective. Today I'm going to cover the Wii U Virtual Console stuff. Now this is going to be like the Wii Virtual Console episode, a little less structured, more freeform as I just talk through the lists of stuff I've made and point out some of the games that have come out that are worth noting. This comes in the wake of the Wii eShop going down. I mean, the Wii U eShop is still up, so you can still grab all of these games for the foreseeable future, but I don't expect these to be up forever, maybe a year or two. So if you're into Virtual Console, time to check this stuff out. There's some neat additions here that weren't on the Wii. Also, this is a shame because we haven't had a Virtual Console release on the Switch, and it doesn't seem like Nintendo is that eager to do it. I'm sure they'll get to it at some point. Who knows how they'll bring that stuff out with these new with the new Nintendo Network that is supposed to offer some free games. Maybe we'll get some kind of Virtual Console there, but we'll have to wait and see how they roll that out. I hope they do bring it back. I hope there's a way to port the games over from Wii U that you have, and hopefully even from Wii, if there's a way to connect to that information through your Wii U shop account like they could with the Wii. Hopefully there's a way to move that old stuff over so you're not paying for it again, or at least paying just a little fee, but we'll see how that goes. First up, when Virtual Console launched for Wii U, it was kind of a shame because they didn't bring over any of your old games, and they didn't even start with that big of a library. They only started with a couple games, not all the games that the Wii had, which is a bit of a shame. They did have to upgrade the emulator so it worked on the touchpad and all that stuff, so there was some work involved in upgrading those games from the Wii to the Wii U, but I still think they should have made more of an effort to put more out there. Upgrading the games for the new emulator let you play them in 1080p, but the output was a bit worse on the Wii U, so it wasn't that big of an update. Actually, a lot of people regret moving them over because the colors were just more vibrant on the original Wii, especially for 64. The one thing Nintendo did do to appease people who had a bunch of Wii Virtual Console games is that they had an upgrade program where once a game came out on Wii U that was already on Wii that you owned, you could pay just $1 to get the upgraded version. Some of the same consoles were available on the Wii U that were on Wii, but some of them weren't. All the Sega stuff was missing, which is a big hit. No Genesis, no Master System, also no Neo Geo games, and there was also no arcade or C64 games. Now we are getting arcade games and Neo Geo games on the Switch, so that's nice, but those are completely different releases that have nothing to do with any kind of Virtual Console service. So let's start off with NES. First off, I'm just going to go through and list all the great games that are worth checking out that are available on both Wii and Wii U, so I didn't cover those in the Wii video. Definitely stuff worth checking out since it is still available on the Wii U. And we're starting off with the original Adventure Island, Adventures of Lolo, Blaster Master, all three Castlevanias, Crash and the Boys Street Challenge, a great game if you're into River City Ransom stuff. The original Dig Dug, which is an import game, it was never released on the NES over here, so that's worth checking out. Donkey Kong 1, Donkey Kong Jr., and Donkey Kong Math, and Donkey Kong 3. Math is really only notable because it is a really rare cartridge. Double Dragon 1 and 2, Excitebike, Ghosts and Goblins, Gradius, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, Life Force, the original Mario Brothers arcade game, Megaman 1 through 5, Metroid, NES Open Tournament Golf, which I like as a golf game, all three Ninja Gaiden games, Punch-Out, River City Ransom, Star Tropics, Super C, Super Dodgeball, all three Mario games, plus Mario Brothers The Lost Levels, which was the Japanese release of Mario Brothers 2, Tecmo Bowl for football fans, Legend of Zelda, Euphoria, which was a great import game, a Metroidvania that never came out over here, definitely worth checking out. It's in English because it was a European import, Zelda 2, and Star Tropics 2 Zoda's Revenge. So those are all the games you can still get that were also available on the Wii. I'm going to go through now and go through the exclusive titles that only came out on Wii U. Both the Wii and Wii U had 94 NES games, but there are a couple games that were different between each set, so let's get into that. First off, the big one, Earthbound Beginnings. This is the original Mother 1, the game that people wanted out here forever. It never came out. Finally, it did come out on Wii U Virtual Console and is definitely worth having. Mighty Final Fight is a kind of chibi version of Final Fight for the NES. It's one of my favorite beat-em-ups. It's only one player, which is the only knock against it. Other than that, it is great. Gargoyles Quest 2 is like a Zelda 2 or Castlevania 2 spin-off of Ghosts and Goblins. It is a great action RPG. Wii U also got Dig Dug 2, which the original Wii didn't get, and Double Dragon 3, which is probably one of the worst Double Dragons, but still interesting. It also got Dr. Mario, and more importantly, Duck Hunt, which people were screaming for ever since the Wii first came out. They finally made it work with the Wiimote, definitely worth checking out on the Wii U. Also Wild Gunman, another light gun game that I guess they used that Duck Hunt technology to use the Wiimote with. I'm surprised they didn't put out a couple more light gun games. I would have liked at least Gumshoe maybe, but well, we'll take those two. Little Ninja Brothers, another pretty rare cart, definitely worth checking out. It's a fun two-player game. Megaman 6, so the last Mega Man game that never came out on Wii came out here. Stinger is a really cute 'em up in the style of Fantasy Zone by Konami, definitely worth checking out. Street Fighter 2010 The Final Fight is a kind of notorious game that is not a Street Fighter game, but definitely interesting. Pac-Land, an import of the Pac Man platformer that came out before Mario, I believe. Definitely interesting. And Versus Excitebike. I don't really know what makes Versus Excitebike different from Excitebike, but it is an import of that. And that's it for NES. If I had to pick one thing to really call out, it is Mother 3. Again, that's definitely worth checking out. Let's get right into SNES stuff. SNES had 51 games released on the Wii U, whereas 74 were on the Wii. Let's see what was good on both. Axlay is an interesting game that a lot of collectors go after, so that's interesting. Breath of Fire 2 is a great Capcom RPG, definitely great. Contra 3 is my favorite Contra, definitely worth checking out. Cybernator was a great Konami kind of platformer mech action game, was pretty good. Donkey Kong Country 1, 2, and 3 for Nintendo fans, along with F-Zero. Final Fight 1, 2, and 3, these were all delisted on the Wii, so if they're still available on Wii U, definitely worth checking out. Harvest Moon, a really rare SNES game, so definitely worth checking out if you're into that series. Kirby Superstar is a fun bunch of Kirby mini games, including a remake of the original Kirby. Kirby's Dream Course and Dreamland 3, definitely worth checking out. Megaman X, my favorite Mega Man game, along with Megaman X2, a great follow-up. Pilot Wings, if you're interested in Nintendo stuff like that. There's a couple versions of Street Fighter. There's Alpha 2, 2 Turbo, and the original 2. Yeah, as well as Super Street Fighter 2. And then Super Castlevania 4, Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out. Legend of the Mystical Ninja, which is a great Konami kind of action RPG. Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, my personal favorite Zelda game, and that is it that was released on both that is worth checking out. Let's get into the exclusive stuff that launched later for Wii U. Not many, but a couple really notable titles. Not many, but most of them really good. The original Breath of Fire was this kind of Capcom RPG published by Square. It's a really great RPG for the time, worth checking out. Castlevania Dracula X is kind of the black sheep of the Castlevania family. It is a good Castlevania platformer on its own. It just doesn't hold up to the game it was based on, but definitely worth checking out. Demon's Crest, a follow-up to Gargoyles Quest, and just probably the best in that series. One of the best kind of Zelda 2 clones. An amazing looking action RPG I highly recommend. Earthbound, which like Mother, people were begging to come out for a long time because the cart is wicked expensive, was available, so definitely worth checking out. Mega Man 7 and X3, two really expensive and rare Mega Man games if you're looking for the carts, so definitely worth checking those out. And lastly, Pac Man 2 The New Adventures. This weird kind of mix of an adventure game and a platformer is maybe the only not really amazing game on this list. Most of these games are really expensive, as I mentioned, to get the carts, so definitely worth checking out if you're into downloading Virtual Console stuff. Moving on to Nintendo 64, both Wii and Wii U had 21 games available, but 4 games were different between the two. So let's get into the games that were released on both. F-Zero X, definitely worth checking out. Kirby 64, Mario Golf, Mario Kart 64, Mario Party 2, but not 1 or 3 for some reason. Mario Tennis, Ogre Battle 64, definitely worth checking out. Paper Mario, Pokemon Snap, Sin and Punishment, an import of the best N64 game that was released in Japan but not over here. Star Fox 64, Super Mario 64, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask, Wave Race 64, and Yoshi's Story. So I mentioned almost all of them actually. A lot of great games for 64 fans. For the 4 new games, Bomberman 64, the first of 3 Bomberman games. Not quite an amazing Bomberman game, but still pretty interesting. Donkey Kong 64, Excitebike 64, and the rare and worthwhile Harvest Moon 64. So 4 great additions. There should have been a lot more released here, but we'll take what we can get. Moving on to the TurboGrafx 16 and CD, the original Wii had 63 games released, which is a fair amount of that library. I think there's really only about 150 games total released in North America for both the 16 and CD. So a decent amount of that library, a lot of the really rare stuff. Only 21 of those ended up coming out for the Wii U, and only 1 was new, and not really notable at that. The new one is Gradius, which is a decent game, but not really one you need. Of the other 20 games that came out on the Wii U, almost all of them are notable. Definitely worth checking out. Air Zonk, Alien Crush, Blazing Lasers, Bomberman 64, which is an import. All 3 Bonk games, including the extremely rare Bonk 3. Devil's Crush, Dungeon Explorer, Final Soldier, an amazing shoot 'em up. Newtopia 1 and 2, New Adventure Island, a rare sequel to Adventure Island, Ninja Spirit, R-Type, which was delisted from the Wii, so you could have got that there, but there are better versions of R-Type. Soldier Blade and Superstar Soldier, amazing shoot 'em ups, Victory Run, and World Sports Competition. So just great games all around. Most of these definitely worth checking out. Now let's get into the last two consoles that were released in Virtual Console for the Wii U, and they are really special ones, really interesting ones. The first of which is Game Boy Advance. So Game Boy Advance was kind of a portable version of a Super Nintendo. A lot of amazing games on it, a lot of ports of Super Nintendo games, but also the Game Boy Advance had about 74 games released on the Wii U Virtual Console, so that's a decent amount of games for that system. I'll go through the notable ones. I do recommend checking them all out because there's a bunch of great stuff here. There's some import stuff. So some of the notable ones, just because they're from Nintendo, all the Super Mario Advanced games are here, which are updates of older Mario games. There's also Mario Kart Super Circuit, Wario Land 4, and WarioWare. Advanced Wars 1 and 2 are both here, so if you're into that RTS games, definitely worth checking out. F-Zero Maximum Velocity, the best portable F-Zero game. Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, one that has a pretty lame story, but the gameplay is still really fun. Fire Emblem and its sequel, The Sacred Stones, both really great Fire Emblem games, really rare cards too, so worth checking out. Kirby and the Amazing Mirror, as well as Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, two great portable Kirby games. Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, The Legend of Zelda, The Minish Cap, Metroid Fusion and Metroid Zero Mission, Golden Sun 1 and Golden Sun The Lost Age, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Team, the 3 Castlevania Game Boy Advance games, Aria of Sorrow, Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, Harvest Moon, Friends of Mineral Town, and more Friends of Mineral Town. All of the Mega Man games, Mega Man and Bass, a great port of a Super Nintendo game that never came out over here, Mega Man Battle Chip Challenge, Battle Network 1 through 6, all versions of those two, and Mega Man 0, 1 through 4. We also got Klonoa, Empire of Dreams, and Klonoa 2, Dream Champ Tournament, which are great games for fans of that series, and Pocky and Rocky with Becky. So a ton of great Game Boy Advance games worth checking out. Maybe the best looking way to play Game Boy Advance games on a console, unless you've got like an upscaler and hacked your GameCube to get better output and all that stuff. That's a real hard thing. So yeah, a great way to play those on a TV. Lastly, and the real special one, Nintendo DS. This is just crazy because some of these games rely on a touchscreen, and Nintendo managed to make it work, have an emulator with the Wiimote. I really hope they do something like this again in the future, because playing some of these games on the big screen is a ton of fun. There were 31 Nintendo DS games released, so not that many, but some great ones. Going through the notable ones, in my opinion: Advanced Wars Dual Strike, Animal Crossing Wild World, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, Kirby Canvas Curse, Mass Attack, and Squeak Squad, Mario and Luigi Partners in Time, Mario Kart DS, Mario Party DS, Metroid Prime Hunters, New Super Mario Bros., Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Blue Rescue Team, and Explorers of the Sky, Pokemon Ranger, all 3 of those Pokemon Rangers games, Star Fox Command, the original style Savvy, Super Mario 64 DS, Legend of Zelda, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks, Wario Master of Disguise, WarioWare Touched, and Yoshi's Island DS. So just a ton of stuff there. I highly recommend checking them out. I recommend just downloading one, even if you're not into paying for these games, because just to see how that emulator works on the Wii U is really crazy. Lastly, I just want to mention that there were also a bunch of Wii games re-released on the Wii U eShop. I don't consider them Virtual Console, a little bit too new, but it is neat that they started putting out some of those games digitally for people who, didn't have the disc anymore. And that's it for my Virtual Console retrospective on the Wii U. Games have stopped coming out on the Wii U, so nothing else is going to come out. It's a shame. Nothing has come out on Switch yet, other than those releases Hamster is putting out for Neo Geo and some arcade games. I really hope they get some kind of consolidated Virtual Console service put together for the Switch, but let's wait and see what they launch alongside that Nintendo network. Thanks for checking out this more freeform retrospective. I've got a lot more planned this year, so check out my other retrospectives where I go through different consoles libraries and point out the games I think you should check out, my favorite games. Thanks for checking this out. I'll see you guys next time.